what's up, y'all? Good morning. Happy Monday morning. This is another episode of the notable prisons and the inmates that occupy them. I'm going to need y'all to get y'all's lighters ready because plenty of people are getting smoked this episode. So what we're going to do is take a trip over to, believe it's Indiana. Yes, it is Indiana. Terre Haute, to be exact, is where we're going. USP Terre Haute, which is a maximum security prison in the United States federal prison system for male inmates. Terre Haute, Indiana. It's a part of the Federal Correction Complex at Terre Haute, FCC, Terre Haute, and is operated by the Feds, a division of the United States Department of Justice, people. USP Terre Haute houses a special confinement unit for male federal inmates who have been sentenced to death, DEATH, as well as the Federal Execution Chamber. Most inmates sentenced to death by the U.S. federal government are housed in USP Terre Haute. Prior to execution, within a few exceptions, FCC Terre Haute is located in the city of Terre Haute, 70 miles west of Indianapolis. Okay, so let me tell y'all a little bit more about the place. So USP Terre Haute is a care level 3 facility, which means that any inmate sent to Terre Haute who has a serious health problems that are not major enough to warrant a hospitalization is sent to the USP. This facility is also a tobacco-free institution. This part of the FCC contains 6 housing units. One of the 6 housing units is a faith-based unit that can house 125 inmates. When the inmates are not working, they are partaking in faith-based activities. All of the inmates in the USP are allotted 7 visit days a month and 300 minutes of telephone time, which they have to use in increments of 30 minutes. The inmates housed here can work at Unicord, which is a prison industry that makes towels and other accessories for the military. Inmates employed here earn an average of $650 or $750 a day, and some can make up to $12 a day if they are paid by piece as opposed to by an hour. So that's another thing to think about, people. You go to prison, you might complain about working normal jobs out here. When you go there, you're only going to make $7 a day. So keep that in mind. You know what I'm saying? Yeah. Anyways, let's just get into this list because this list is very interesting. So, first off, we have Dylan Storm Roof. I know y'all know who this is. With the little boy with the bowl haircut, who is a white supremacist convicted in 2016 of federal hate crimes and firearm charges for committing the Charleston church shooting at Emmanuel African Methodist Episcopal Church in 2015, during which 9 parishioners were killed. And as of 2020, he had been the only person to be on federal death row for hate crimes. And they sentenced him to death January 11th, 2017. Everyone get your lighters ready. They are going to cook his ass. Yes, they will. Timothy Scummy McVeigh. He was convicted in 1997 of planning and carrying out the 1995 bombings of the Alfred P. Murrah Federal Building in Oklahoma City, which killed 168 people. Man, how scummy could a person be to take so many lives? You know what I'm saying? But they executed his ass during the Gemini season, June 11th of 2001. And he got sentenced in 97. So that was pretty quick. Like, you know what I mean? Dude got knocked off 5 years after he got sentenced. Next, we have Juan Raul Garza, who was a drug kingpin convicted in 1993 of murdering or ordering the murders of 3 rival drug traffickers, and of importing thousands of pounds of marijuana from Mexico and reselling it to dealers in Texas, Louisiana, and Michigan. He was executed on June 19th, 2001. And then we have Louis Jones Jr., who was convicted in 1995 of the kidnapping, sexual assault, and murder of a U.S. Army private, Tracy Joy McBride, at Goodfellow Air Base in San Angelo, Texas. Oh yeah, he's scummy. And they torched his ass March 18th, 2003. Next up, we have Daniel Lewis Lee, who was a white supremacist co-defendant of Chevy Kehoe, who together kidnapped, tortured, and murdered a gun dealer and his family in Tilly, Arkansas. The stolen property they obtained from the family was taken to Spokane, Washington, in an attempt to begin a whites-only nation. Man, you know, it's okay to believe what you believe and stand on what you stand on. I ain't mad at that. But, you know, kidnapping and torturing and killing people, that ain't cool. And guess what? They cooked his ass in the middle of the summer, too. July 14th, 2020. He just got knocked off. Next, we have Wesley Ira Purkey, convicted of raping and killing a 16-year-old girl before dismembering, burning, and then dumping the teen's body in a septic pond. Yo, this guy is hands down one of the top 10 scummiest people that's ever been on my episodes. They fried his ass July 16th, 2020. Then we got Dustin Lee Honkin. He was convicted alongside his then girlfriend, Angela Johnson, of murdering 5 people in Iowa in 93 in an attempt to hide his methamphetamine drug dealing operation. Johnson was resentenced to life in prison without parole in 2012. In 2012, people. This dude was a serious, he was serious about trying to, protect his, the family business. And next we have Lesman Charles Mitchell, convicted of carjacking, related homicide of a 63-year-old and her 9-year-old granddaughter. Mitchell stabbed the 63-year-old woman to death and drove off for around 40 miles with her lifeless body in the vehicle along with her granddaughter. He then slit the 9-year-old's throat. He was the only Native American on death row until his execution. He was cooked on August 26th, 2020, is the date they smoked his punk ass. Next, we have William Emmett Lacroix, Jr., convicted of raping and murdering a 30-year-old nurse before stealing her car and attempting to flee the country. Man, what's up with all these scummy-ass dudes? And you know they extra smoked his ass extra crispy on September 22nd, 2020. Next, we have Orlando Cordia Hall, convicted of the drug-related kidnapping, rape, and murder of a 16-year-old Lisa Renee. Man, some scummy individual. They cooked his ass November 19th, 2020. Oh, they just cooked him. These dudes was getting cooked during COVID. Man. Oh man. Brandon Bernard, convicted at age 18 for his involvement in a carjacking and the deaths of a couple visiting Texas. Co-defendant Christopher Villalva was also executed for the crime. That's the dude I just mentioned. And he got cooked December 10th, 2020. Now we have Lisa Marie Montgomery, convicted in 2007 of murdering Bobby Joe Stinnett, age 23, and kidnapping her unborn baby from her womb in 2004. She was at FMC Carswell, which housed the death row for women until the day before her execution. She got torched January 13th, 2021. Yep, chipped her ass off. No, they cooked her. Next up, we have Dustin John Higgs. He was convicted in 2000 for ordering the murders of 3 women on a federal land. What the heck? Player. That wasn't player at all, player. Look at himself. Now, they cooked his ass January 16th, 2021. The most recent one to get cooked. Next up, we have Michael Rudkin. Let me tell you a little something about Michael Rudkin. He's a former CO, correctional officer at FCI Danbury in Connecticut, and he was sentenced to prison in 2008 for having sex with an inmate. Convicted in 2010 of trying to hire a hitman to kill the inmate his ex-wife, his ex-wife's boyfriend, and a federal agent while incarcerated at USP Coleman in Florida. He was beaten to death by another inmate on August 24th, 2021. And he got sentenced to serve a 90-year sentence until his death in August 24th, 2021. Man, Michael Rudkin played himself. He thought he had the greatest idea and failed. Next we have Zade Safarini. He was the member of the Abu Nidal organization, convicted of 21 counts of murder in connection with the deadly 1986 hijacking of Pan Am Flight 73 in Pakistan. It was a Pan American World Airways flight from India to New York, with scheduled stops in Pakistan and West Germany. On September 5th of 86, the Boeing 747 serving the flight was hijacked while on the ground at Karachi by 4 armed Palestinian men of the Abu Nidal organization. The aircraft, with 360 passengers on board, had just arrived from Bombay. A grand jury later concluded that the militants were planning to use the hijacked airplane to pick up Palestinian prisoners in both Cyprus and Israel. 43 passengers were injured or killed during the hijacking, including nationals from India, the United States, Pakistan, and Mexico. All the hijackers were arrested and sentenced to death in Pakistan. However, the sentences were later commuted to life in prison, which equals out, for this dude in particular, 160 years. Now we have Brian David Mitchell, former street preacher and pedophile, convicted in 2010 of interstate kidnapping and unlawful transportation of a minor across state lines, connection with the 2002 kidnapping of Elizabeth Smart when she was age 14. That caused a nationwide search and made national headlines for 9 months until 2003. Brian Mitchell and Wanda Barzee repeatedly raped and tortured her multiple times a day during her captivity and made threats against her family if she escaped. Mitchell and Barzee would punish her for defending herself. They would also play mind games to see if she would try to escape. It is believed she brainwashed to not escape, even when she had the chance. His accomplice, Wanda Barzee, was sentenced to 15 years for her part in the kidnapping. A month after she was found, the Amber Alert System bill was signed by President George W. Bush. Wow, that's intense. Next we have Abdul Hakeem Murad, an al-Qaeda operative convicted in 1996 of terrorism conspiracy in connection with planning Project Bojinka, a foil plot conceived by senior al-Qaeda member Khalid Sheikh Mohammed to bomb 12 planes over the Pacific Ocean in a 48-hour time period. Who the hell did this dude think he was? Like, bro, he's thinking he was going to be throwing these missiles like footballs at planes. He's crazy. But what's even crazier is that this dude he's in Victorville, which is not far from me. Like, that's crazy. Like, there's an al-Qaeda person like less than 100 miles away from me. That's a trip. Anyways, Mohammed Shnewer. He was one of the 6 men that conspired to attack an army base in Fort Dix, New Jersey in 2007. Fort Dix attack plot involved a group of 6 Muslim men who were found guilty of conspiring to stage an attack against U.S. military personnel stationed at Fort Dix in New Jersey. The 2007 Fort Dix attack plot involved a group of 6 Muslim men who were found guilty of conspiring to stage an attack against the U.S. military personnel stationed at Fort Dix, New Jersey. The men were arrested by the feds on May 8th, 2007, and were prosecuted in a federal court October 2008. On December 22nd, 2008, 5 were found guilty of conspiracy to commit murder in their intention to kill U.S. military personnel. 4 received life sentences, while 1 received 33 years in prison. The remaining member was thought to have had a minor role in the plot and was sentenced to 5 years in prison for weapons defenses. But this dude is serving a life sentence. They gave him a full LWOP. Next, we have Chevy Kehoe, who is the white supremacist convicted of charges of racketeering in aid of murder and robbery conspiracy in connection to the kidnapping, torture, and murders of William and Nancy Mueller and their 8-year-old daughter, Sarah Powell. And his co-defendant, Daniel E. Lewis, was executed for the murders on July 14th, 2020. Now, if y'all was paying attention, you would know I just mentioned him. We have Robert Merritt. He was an accomplice to Lamont Lewis in a firebombing of a house of the mother of a federal witness ordered by Kidada Savage, which killed 6 people, including 4 children. Another accomplice named Kidada Savage is serving a life sentence at FCI Tallahassee. Lamont Lewis is serving a 40-year sentence, and Kidada Savage is on death row at ADX Florence. Next, we have Drew Peterson. Let me tell you a little something about Drew Peterson. On September 6, 2012, Peterson was found guilty of the premeditated murder of his third wife, Kathleen Savio. Jurors admitted that the most compelling evidence was based on the hearsay statements allowed under Drew's law. And then last but not least, we have Raymond Shrimp Boy Chow, who was a Chinese-American organized crime boss convicted in 2016 on 162 counts of including murder in the aid of racketeering, conspiracy, conspiring to murder another rival, receiving and transporting stolen liquor across state lines, and money laundering. And he was sentenced to 2 life terms, plus 20 years on top of that. Like the 2 life terms wasn't enough. But, this concludes today's episode, people. Hit that subscribe button, like, and, let me know where y'all watching from in the comments. Give me some feedback, man. Talk to me. I talk back. I appreciate everyone that watches and that does subscribe, All right, man. Y'all enjoy the rest of y'all week. I'm going to see y'all Friday. Possibly Wednesday if I don't get overwhelmed with work. But if not, see y'all Friday. Late.